Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 7, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. Eventually, however, Rias's, now already possessive, once supportive hug had to be broken for the simple biological desire for me to breathe without needing me to make breathing gills or something on my neck, as Rias's all-encompassing cleavage held no mercy for people needing to breathe. "Thanks for that," I said softly as me and Rias sat beside one another, and she softly chuckled at how I blushed a bit at her overly familiar actions. "It's nothing, Jake. If anything, you remind me a bit of Kaneko and Kiba. Actually, with your blonde hair, you do kind of look a bit like him, except you didn't thrash out of my hug like he would." Rias spoke, pouting at Kiba being an unhuggable Uchiha with his whole desire for vengeance and such. "Hugs are meant to be enjoyed," I simply replied as I closed my eyes, with my consciousness dipping into my own body to check the differences apparent from absorbing Rias's Gremory and Bale Devil bloodline. Now, although the Gremory luck manipulation had no active toggle like using the power of destruction or my other powers, I imagined it was a passive buff to flipping scenarios into my favor. So with having jacked her bloodline, I wonder if I could make up some bullshit about how Surzex, Rias's older or brother, or even her father Zeoticus Gremory was my father to explain my power of destruction. But then I realized that for one, Rias's father didn't have the power of destruction, so that outed him. And if I played at being Satan, Lucifer's bastard son, his wife would likely have some very unkind thoughts towards me being an illegitimate child regardless of the circumstances. Plus, I wanted Rias, and being some kind of nephew or cousin would ruin that little goal. So, unless I planned on outing my ability to use power of destruction openly and allow people to figure it out, I could copy bloodlines. Then I needed to make sure only people I could trust would know of it. And of course, deal with anyone like stray devils that see it. "Yes. I totally agree," Rias said in excitement to my statement about hugs being great. "I would love for my adorable peerage to be more affectionate, but they are all so prickly. Hell, Akino is the worst, as she will go from a simple good morning side hug to biting me or even giving me a titty twister. And the rest just don't enjoy physical affection at all," Rias loudly complained as she childishly kicked her feet up in the air and slumped her head into the back of the couch. I couldn't help imagining the sleepy-eyed face of Rias walking up to an equally sleepy Akino and attempting to give her all but sister a hug, but is only welcomed by a big ol' titty twister from the sadist queen. "So, I knew devils are evil and all," I said, making her eyes snap to me in confusion, but she could only snort as I continued. "I heard you guys only eat ham, sardine and pineapple pizzas with Alfredo sauce. Is that heresy true?" I said, shuddering at the thought as a brief memory of such an incident came to mind when I was growing up. "Oh, dear hells no. What the hell, Jake? We may steal and torture souls for eternity, but we would never touch such an abomination," Rias said, shuddering at the thought of the pizza I described. "Where the hell did you even get that idea? Wait, is that the newest church propaganda?" she said seriously, as though she was seriously considering if she needed to call her big brother that was in fact fucking Lucifer and have him get the church to quit spreading such filth. "Nah, Rias, relax. Actually, funny story about that. Back in the States I lived in a bit of a hard area, and like every Friday I would walk down a couple streets if it wasn't too cold and go to this pizza joint. They actually did Hawaiian pizza, and with a heretical friend staying over I got one of those for him with the pizza sauce being replaced with Alfredo sauce. I then went on to explain how a group of like 5 dudes waylaid me in my apartment building's parking lot as I was walking back, and they wanted to jack me for the pizza after I opened the pizza and explained that the pizzas were fucking sardine, ham, and pineapple. They didn't even bother to kick my ass or steal it, as they said. The disappointment God had in me for eating such an abomination will hurt more than any ass kicking they can give. "Wait, so you didn't beat them up or anything?" Rias asked incredulously at the thought that I didn't use my powers to lay a smackdown on the idiots. But it's not like I could with having no such powers in my past lifetime. "Nope. I thought the whole situation was too funny and didn't bother," I said, shrugging, and Rias hummed in thought. "Anyway, the rest of my peerage will be here in a couple minutes. You can use my shower if you want," she said, pointing at the still in plain view shower, and I firmly made an X in front of my chest. "Yeah, nope. I took a shower this morning and even skipped gym class. I am fine. And more importantly, I am terrified that Akino will yank the curtains back to flash you all, my body, to embarrass me or something." I replied with a healthy dose of snark, making Rias's face scrunch up as she probably mentally tried to make up some nonsense that her sadistic queen Akino Himejima wouldn't get her jollies off making me squall in embarrassment. But as though the fucking Grim Reaper herself was just waiting to make an entrance, I felt a strong hand grab my shoulder from behind the couch and prevent me from moving. Ho ho ho. Jake, is that how you really feel about me? Maybe I should spend some one-on-one time with my cute little classmate to make sure you don't have any misconceptions about my personality. Akino's cool voice came from behind the couch, with even Rias freezing in surprise. Akino is being a pervert. I heard Kaniko's soft voice deadpan as Kiba walked around the couch with a half-dozen pizzas in his arms and placed them down on the table in front of us. Hello, Jake, Kiba said as he placed down his stack of pizzas that the ladies of Rias's peerage obviously dumped onto him to carry. Well, my name is Kiba Yuto, and I would offer to shake your hand. But I can see Akino has sunk her claws into you and I don't want to get between that. He said cheerily as he opened up one of the side cabinets lining the room and brought out a stack of paper plates. Akino, can you do your mommy games later after I eat my food? I asked kind of tiredly as the day has been long and Rias was a bundle of energy herself. Oh, do you want me to be your mommy and feed your Jake? Akino teased before bursting into laughter at my constipated expression. Okay, I am done teasing you. Here you go. Akino said as she went out of her way to bring me a couple of slices of meat lovers and supreme while everyone else got their own slices. But Kaniko on the other hand got literally just folded her pizza over and began eating it like a calzone or something, making my face twitch at her heresy. So Kiba, what do you do in your free time? I asked as we were all eating, and I decided to try to approach the only guy in Rias's peerage. No, I didn't count Gasper as a dude, and the first chance I got, I was going to shoot him with Azazel's gender-bending gun. Or just gender-bend the trap vampire with my biokinesis. Kiba smiled at my question before he put down his food, and with a tiny flash of light a small ornamental sword appeared in his hands. Well, typically I normally spend my time working on my sacred gear, Sword Birth, which allows me to make demonic swords with various attributes easily. But I do enjoy taking on the more relaxing devil contracts or helping the kendo team learn to be better swordswomen. He explained before dismissing his sword and going back to eating. And you, Kaniko? Could you tell me a bit about you? I asked, and the Nekasha merely looked up from her food. For a moment she didn't even respond, but at Rias's cough, she pouted and allowed her calzone free of her clutches and rest upon her large paper plate as she spoke in her typical bored deadpan. Hi. My name is Kaniko. I am Rias's rook, and I like cats and sleeping without being disturbed. If you are a pervert, I will punch you. She basically monologued before adding that little tidbit at the end, making Rias sigh. I am sorry, Jake. My adorable Kaniko isn't that great with strangers. Rias said, trying to ease any perceived insult I may have taken at Kaniko's attitude. It's alright. Well, I thank you for the pizza, but I yawned, covering up my mouth. I think there's been enough excitement today and I need to head off home as I am honestly exhausted and I'm ready for my own nap. Honestly, I said with Kaniko's eyes flitting up to meet me, and seeing my own tired blue eyes she nodded. He isn't lying. I can tell he is going to sleep the rest of the afternoon away. Kaniko explained, giving me an almost sort of proud look, filled with approval, finding another person who loved to sleep. Ah. I can't convince you to stay longer. Rias pouted as she realized she had no other card she could play in order to make me stay longer without coming off almost hostile in her determination to keep me here. Nope. I got a nice bed waiting for me at home for me to warm up with my body. I said as I stood up and stretched, feeling the comforting weight of the pizza filling my belly. Rias nodded sadly before she looked to Akino. Akino, please escort Jake to the edge of the school so Sona doesn't bug him. Yes, my king. Akino teased Rias as she bowed low at the waist, making Rias roll her eyes at how dramatic her queen was being.